The origins of the new British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, can be traced back to Kenya, where his grandparents settled after immigrating to the continent from India. Members of Kenya's Asian community reacted with joy to the news of the appointment, an achievement that coincided with the celebrations of Diwali.
In 1963, Kenya got independence. Then there were many Asians staying in the Isli area. They were not well-to-do. So they were given a choice whether to become Kenya citizens or go to Britain. They had British overseas passport. So most of them opted. There was a great migration, exodus as we call it, to Britain. Then families all struggled from very humble beginnings and then came up, and now they are quite wealthy and well-to-do, and they are also highly educated and doing good jobs, and also participated in the politics and so on. Even there, they have built temples like this one in England. Then the second wave was from Uganda, 1972, when Amin told the Asians to leave.
On Monday, Rishi Sunak won the race to lead the Conservative Party, making him the first British Prime Minister of Asian descent. Many Asians see Sunak's achievement as a source of pride.
Myself and all of us Asians are very proud that one of us has made it to the top job in UK. Similarly, not only UK, if you remember USA, the Vice President is also from India, from South India, Kamala Harris. So even in Canada, there are quite a few MPs and so on of Asian origin. So wherever they've gone, even in politics, they are coming up. So we are very pleased about that.
At 42 years old, Rishi Sunak is also the youngest British leader in more than 200 years. Eleven leaders from Central Africa gathered in DRC's capital Kinshasa on Tuesday to discuss the process of political transition in Chad. The meeting comes days after clashes between Chadian police and protesters in which 50 people died, including a dozen members of the security forces, according to a government toll. The political crisis, which we believe to be engaged in the voice of its resolution, is unfortunately revived. Obviously, this consensus seems to be shattering, and the street has resumed speaking loudly. Death of men by the dozen. And the challenge to be met is major, because it is now a matter of putting the transition back on track with the Chadian people, taking into account both their aspirations and the values and ideals of the African Union and ECCAS.
Des valeurs et idéaux de l'Union africaine et de la CEAC.
Last week, the African Union and the European Union issued statements strongly condemning the police crackdown and attacks against freedom of speech and assembly.
The former president of Niger, Mahamadou Issoufou, has warned of dire consequences that befell the Sahel, a region plagued by acute insurgency. Issoufou further said that the war in the Sahel has been neglected by the world and instead more attention given to Ukraine, terming it a double standard. It shocks Africans to see billions of dollars raining down on Ukraine, while eyes are diverting from the situation in the Sahel. When we set up to illustrate what I just said, the G5 Sahel and its joint forces, to make the G5 Sahel joint force operational, we needed $400 million, but we never got it. The massive support that is given to Ukraine, one has a feeling of having double standards. The former leader was speaking during the just concluded 8th edition of the Dakar International Forum. Issoufou further said he held the international community responsible for the situation in the Sahel, following their military intervention in Libya, further destabilizing the entire region. He is now calling for proper funding to help fight the insurgency in the area. Millions of children are bearing the brunt of Nigeria's food crisis, especially in the northeastern Borno state that has severely been ravaged by deadly jihadist insurgencies for years. According to the UN, around 1.7 million children under the age of 5 face acute malnutrition in the area.
This is a stabilization center, so those here are the ones having medical complications together with the severe acute malnutrition. So every patient here is malnourished and they have medical complications. Because of the crisis, the community usually, farming becomes a problem. They don't go to food. They have problem of food insufficiency. Also, the health facilities there are in poor states. Also, poor water sanitation and hygiene facilities. So there is bound to be diseases. So I think the major problem is food, poor access to food, and the poor health and the wash services.
The threat of jihadist violence forced several farmers to abandon their fertile land, leading to acute food shortage in the region. Nigeria's jihadist insurgency has shifted and evolved since it began in 2009, with Boko Haram militants losing ground to military offensive and forced to battle rivals linked to the Islamic State group. Much of the northeast food production land remains at the mercy of jihadist insurgents.
Peace talks to end Ethiopia's Tigray conflict have begun in South Africa this Tuesday. It is the highest level effort yet to end 2 years of fighting that has killed thousands of people. The talks are taking place under the auspices of the African Union.
The peace talks, which have been convened to find a peaceful and sustainable solution to the devastating conflict in the Tigray region, started today, the 25th of October, and will end on the 30th of October. As a country committed to the African Union's objectives of silencing the guns, South Africa is ready to serve as a host and provide assistance to the peace talks.
Former Nigerian President and African Union envoy Olusegun Obasanjo and former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta are facilitating the talks with encouragement of the United States Special Envoy Mike Hammer. The talks are scheduled to last until Sunday. Over the past few days, Ethiopian and allied forces from Eritrea have made progress in urban areas in the Tigray region.